3,000 miles round trip that was to Utah. Went to go play in Moab for a week, and that was a pretty good time. So we'll file this under, remember dumbass, you have to drive that thing 2,000 miles home. Now that I'm back, I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I think are the must-have in-reach items in the overlanding rig cockpit. Every time I take one of these trips, I change things up a little bit. Sometimes I end up bringing things that I didn't need, or forgetting things that I needed that I didn't have. You know how it goes. Let's start with navigation. Now obviously, whether you're on the road or on the trails, navigation and knowing where you're going is a key part of your cockpit equipment. Now my 2006 GX's onboard Navi, well, it's from 2006. This thing would probably still take me to Blockbuster if I let it. So its navigation is pretty much useless to me. I rely on my iPhone, and my favorite apps are, of course, Google Maps and Gaia GPS. Google Maps is great for whenever I actually have cellular reception because it can go ahead and download the maps and track my position. Gaia is great because I can download all of the off-road and on-road maps that I want for a particular area based off of the trip. The nice thing about using a cell phone for Navi is that you don't need cellular service. Its onboard GPS antenna will work regardless of whether or not you have cell service. So, the phone combined with something like Gaia and pre-downloaded maps will get me pretty much anywhere that I want. Up to and including this trip, I've been using an iPad mounted just for a bigger screen and sometimes even for some on-the-road entertainment. This trip I found that I actually didn't use it that much, and so I don't think I'm going to start carrying it again in this configuration. Instead of the iPad in the future, I think what I'm going to do is get some kind of front-facing camera and monitor because I really needed that this time around, especially on some of the hairier obstacles when all I was looking at was sky. I did have some trouble with some tire placement because I couldn't see anything, and that's something I want to remedy for the next time. I'll save that for a future video, but that will be coming soon. I don't have any analog or paper maps, which is probably something I should do, but for redundancy what I also carry is my Garmin InReach Explorer. This Garmin device I love because 1, it serves as a redundant navigation device, 2, I can go ahead and subscribe to their InReach satellite service, which I do on every trip, and it allows me to beacon my location every 10 minutes. This is great because I'm usually out by myself, and it gives my wife peace of mind because she can track me where I am and know where to find the body in case I don't report in. Gonna need that for the life insurance, right? The InReach sits pretty much full-time on my window with a clear view of the sky, and then whenever I go hiking, it's a simple matter of popping it right off, putting it on my camelback or something like that, and that way I have a navigation device wherever I go. Lastly, this thing's fantastic because with that subscription, you can also do that SOS feature. So I can be out in the middle of nowhere, and as long as I have a clear view of the sky, I can go ahead and hit that SOS and hopefully get some first aid in case I need it. Next, let's talk about comms. I'm a licensed ham as well as GMRS operator, and so comms is near and dear to my heart. My comm setup is going to depend on who I'm riding with and the preferred method of communication within that group. On this recent trip, I had a combination of ham as well as GMRS. Because most of the communication I was going to be doing was via GMRS in close proximity with my cousin, all I needed really was a handheld. Permanently installed in this rig is my mobile ham radio, my FTM 300. I like to use this on the road because sometimes I'll call out in the national simplex frequency, engage in a short conversation with someone, I'll beacon out an APRS and sometimes connect with people that way. And while I'm on the road, I'll hit up Repeater Book on the phone and tune into various repeaters on the way. I have caught a couple nets in the past and it certainly helps pass the time. To me, it's important to have both mobile and handheld radio. Mobile gives you longer reach, has higher power, and so forth. The handheld is great for just jumping out on the trails, taking on a hike, using to spot someone, and for that I have both a handheld ham and a GMRS radio. My handheld GMRS is my Radiodity GM30, which is a fantastic radio. I've done a review out in the past and I highly recommend it. My handheld ham radio is my Yaesu FT5D with a Mars Cap mod done to it, so it opens up transmit on both GMRS, FRS, and even MERS. Now, as a licensed ham, I do not advocate or condone transmitting out of frequency with the hardware that you've got or outside of the licenses you have. The reason I do this is because it's my primary handheld that I'll take with me hiking and anywhere else, and I like having the flexibility to transmit on any service just in case of emergency. After all, it would suck if I'm out hiking and I hear someone calling out for help on a GMRS channel and I'm not able to respond because the hardware is preventing me from doing so. If you're interested in learning more about what a Mars Cap mod is, let me know in the comments below because maybe I'll do a separate video on it. In a nutshell, it's basically like jailbreaking a radio. Also for comms, I have my WeBoost cell booster, which I find does a pretty decent job. One common misconception about these things is that it does not create a cell signal, it only boosts an existing one. So you do need at least one bar for it to work. For the most part, it works pretty well. When I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I have only 1 bar of service, for example, I can turn this thing on and boost it up to 3 to 4 bars, which is good for checking in back home, calling in case of an emergency, but one of the limitations that I've noticed is that it's not necessarily as good for data. Last on my comms list is once again my Garmin InReach Explorer. I mentioned earlier that I can beacon my location as well as use it for SOS, but with the InReach service you can also use it for simple text messages, absent a cell signal. There's been times when I've been on a trail devoid of service for a good 2 days, and just to kind of give people at home a peace of mind that I'm still alive, I can use it to ping their cell and just let them know that I'm good to go. So a jacket is another nice thing to have within reach when you're traveling. I mean, on this trip I went from 95 degrees and sunny in Utah to 35 degrees and snowy in Colorado in the matter of, 7 hours. So having a jacket or something in reach to keep yourself warm is definitely handy to have. Next on the list of items that I like to keep on hand revolve around creature comforts. And on this list I'm talking about snacks and water, right? So snacks, I have this little Coleman cooler box thing that I use to have like my trail mix and things that I like to eat on the road, and I keep my dry goods in there for camping as well. So potatoes, coffee, cereal, and whatnot. In the side pouch are things that I find to have handy as well, such as hand sanitizer, lip balm, because I don't know about you all, but like when I'm out in the desert and it's super dry, my lips just start getting cracked up. So some Carmex is good to go, as well as some lotion, because again, when you're just constantly rinsing your hands off, trying to wash the sand and crud off your body, lotion just helps. Maybe I'm a bitch, but whatever, I like it. In reach in the glove box, I also have some sunblock as well as some bug repellent, because you never know when that's going to come in handy. And I also have my spare glasses just in case. Normally I wear contacts. I don't really like wearing glasses, but if I need to and my eyes are getting tired, well, guess what? The glasses are coming out because I'd rather do that than crash. As you can see in the glove box is yet another light, in this case a diamond headlamp. Easily in my reach are a pen light, a tactical light, and now this headlamp, which is just handy in case you ever need to step out and have a hands-free light for operation. Drinks, well, of course you've got the cup holder to hold whatever you're drinking at the time, but on a Molly pack on my passenger seat, I have a drink holder and I have my little steel bottle thing, whatever, always full of water. I like to keep it full of ice water. It's just handy to have as a backup. And when you're done with your drinks and snacks, also in the back of my Molly panel is a small trash bag. This is so handy to have because when you have napkins, food wrappers, or whatever, you don't want to just toss that crap around your car. Have a nice place to put it. Every time I stop for gas, I'll just grab it, put it in the trash bin, and I have at my hand always just a nice little rubbish bin to use. Also in the category of creature comforts for me is entertainment. So I'm a big fan of audiobooks, and in particular I use Audible. On this last trip I listened to a few books, one being The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***, two, a book called Artemis by Andy Weir, who authored The Martian. So if you have ever seen that movie with Matt Damon, the book was really good, and this other book by this author was actually pretty good as well. And another book I listened to was Unlearn by Humble the Poet, an excellent reminder of how not to take life too seriously and get out of your own brain. Cross-country drives for me are usually solo, and what that means is I'm going to keep on driving until I think it's unsafe or if I start to get tired. I usually don't plan stops, and so I rely on truck stops and rest stops and whatnot. But when I get there, a big part of my creature comforts is having a pillow and my whoopee. So a whoopee, for my non-veteran viewers, is what we affectionately call a poncho liner as it's issued. And this little piece of gear is one of the best things ever to come out of the military. It makes a great blanket in a pinch, so that combined with a pillow, I'll just recline the seats, and that's how I'll sleep at a rest stop until I feel recharged, and then I'll be back on the road. Finally on my list of creature comforts, and some of y'all might make fun of me for this one, is a piss bottle. This thing, not only do I have at camp and I bring up to me in the tent, either in the rooftop or even a ground tent, because I don't want to have to step out in the middle of the night to take a leak, but if you've ever been on a long drive, and even though there are ample places to stop and take a leak, if you get stuck, like I got stuck west of Omaha because of an accident, and you just don't kind of get out and pee when you're stuck in back-to-back traffic, but I had to go. So having one of these at hand, as long as you don't have a tall ass truck or a semi sitting there leering over you down the window, then you can discreetly take a leak, put that there, empty at the next rest stop or whatever, and go about your merry way with a smile. I keep a lot of handy items within reach under my visor as well. So if I flip down my visor, I've got a knife, in this case a Kershaw flip blade, another flashlight, a pen flashlight, because you can never have too many of those, a pen and a pencil, because you never know when the pen ink's going to run dry, some scrap paper to write stuff down, and some cash. You never know when you're going to need some cash, like when I was driving through Oklahoma and came upon some tolls. I didn't have cash last time, and I ended up having to pay them online after the fact, and that was just quite annoying. And last on the things that I like to keep within arm's reach when I'm out on my overlanding excursions are things for roadside emergencies. For me, this includes quick access to a fire extinguisher, my first aid kit, which is bungeed to the back of my passenger headrest, chem sticks as my final line of defense for lighting in case all my other electrical lights fail, a high lift jack, a portable battery jumper, and tools and miscellaneous repair kits. For the fire extinguisher, it's important to make sure that you have the right rating and that it's fully charged before you take off on any trip. First aid kit is packed with all sorts of goodies. I'll probably make a separate video on that one as far as what's in your first aid kit. Chem sticks are easily accessible in the back of the driver's seat. High lift jack is tucked right behind both seats. Portable battery jumper is right behind me, and for that I use a fully charged Hulkman 8.5, which I really like. When it comes to tools and miscellaneous repair kits, well, I kind of keep tweaking that every time I go out. Let's take a look at what I got now. In a quick tool bag, I've got various pliers and so forth, as well as a tire repair kit, duct tape, because that's what does hold the world together, and some emergency quote-unquote flares that are LED driven. I like these because I can lay them out in the road. They have a variety of flash and spin types and so forth. They're also magnetic, so you can attach them to your car in order to highlight it in case of an emergency. And then of course I've got various recovery gear in here, whether it's a tree strap, tow strap, snatch blocks, rings, and so forth. So this is easily accessible, and then so is a quick Husky toolkit. Now this Husky kit is a pretty nice kit as far as I'm concerned. It contains pretty much everything that I would need. I used to carry a lot of other tools with me, including power tools, but I never ended up using them. So where I'm at right now is I figure I'm just going to have the bare minimum that I need to perhaps do some expedient field repairs and get me back to a repair shop, and for that I'm trying to cut down. Of course I have things like screwdrivers and pry bars and whatnot in my other bag, but between these two it makes a pretty comprehensive kit. There are, of course, other things within reach of me, but these are all the things that I think of in advance of items that I want to have at my fingertips while I'm driving, especially cross-country, sitting on blacktop, and even on the trails, to be honest. I hope you all liked that one. If you think you'd like to outfit your rig with a lot of similar gear, what I'll do is I'll leave a link to a lot of the stuff I just covered in the description below. Otherwise, what about you? What kind of gear do you like to keep at arm's reach when you're out on your excursions? If you got some good ones, I just might have to update my kit to include them as well. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. Otherwise, until the next time, thank you as always for watching. This is Tom the Dilettante saying, have a good one.